The ironclad's mess hall buzzed with the low hum of overworked vents and the clatter of trays, a dented steel box lit by flickering bulbs that cast shadows over the crew's tired faces. A hollow screen in the corner blared GB News, some suit yammering about trade tariffs, but nobody cared. Not when Joker, Techie, and Newbie were huddled at a table littered with ration wrappers, a half-spilled jar of pickles, and a greasy stick that might have once been food. Joker lounged back, boots kicked up, twirling a ration bar like it was a switchblade. His grin was pure trouble, eyes glinting with the kind of mischief that could start a bar fight or a revolution. "Here's the deal, boys," he drawled, voice smooth as smuggled whiskey. "A corn dog ain't just a hot dog on a stick. It's a philosophy. You take anything, slap some batter on it, fry it to a crisp, and shove a stick in it. That's a corn dog. I'd batter my left boot and call it a corn dog if the grease held up." Techie slouched over a tray of what looked like mashed regret, didn't bother looking up from peeling the foil off a protein pack. His glasses were smudged, hair a mess like he'd slept in a server room, and his voice came out dry, edged with a smirk he couldn't quite hide. "Yeah, and I'd eat a socket wrench if you told me it was seasoned, Joker. Doesn't make it a corn dog. It's gotta be a hot dog. Sausage, not your boot or whatever roadkill you're dreaming of. Cornmeal batter, stick, fry, that's the line. Cross it and you're just some guy with a deep fryer and a death wish." Newbie, all wide eyes and nervous hands, poked at his own ration, a kid caught between two barstool philosophers. "But what about those fish ones? I had one on Praxis, called it a sea dog. Stick and everything. That's a corn dog, right?" Joker snapped forward, boots hitting the deck with a clang, his laugh sharp enough to cut glass. "Fish? Fish? Newbie, you're out here confessing crimes against nature like it's nothing. A sea dog? That's what happens when a fisherman gets drunk and a friar gets lonely. A corn dog's got soul, meat, grease, a stick you could stab a man with, not some floppy fish stick pretending to be tough." Techie snorted, finally glancing up, his smirk twisting into something almost playful, though his eyes had that haunted flicker he never shook since Thacet. "Oh, soul, huh? What's next, Joker? You gonna serenade us about the spiritual journey of a sausage? Look, I don't care what you call it. Corn dog's a hot dog, period. Anything else is just you trying to justify that time you ate a fried sock on a dare." He paused, then muttered, "Still owe me 5 creds for that, by the way." Joker clutched his chest, mock-wounded, his voice rising to a preacher's cadence. "A sock? Low blow, Techie. That was survival, man. Pure grit. And you're still crying over 5 creds while I'm out here redefining the culinary cosmos. Corn dogs are freedom. Chicken on a stick, battered and fried, corn dog. Venison skewer from Calyx, crisp and golden, corn dog. Hell, I'd batter a goddamn asteroid if it'd hold a stick." Newbie, caught up now, leaned in, his voice bright with that rookie spark. "What about sweet ones? Like bananas dipped in chocolate, rolled in cornmeal, fried up. Saw it on a vid, corn dog sundaes. That count?" Techie froze, protein pack halfway to his mouth, then dropped it like it had insulted him. "Bananas? Sundaes? Newbie, what the hell are you watching out there? That's not a corn dog. That's a dessert having an identity crisis. Next, you'll tell me you're frying ice cream and calling it a burger." He rubbed his temples, muttering, "Christ, I'm surrounded by lunatics. Used to think it was just the APCF blowing shit up, but no, it's you two blowing my mind." Joker slammed the table, rattling the pickles jar, his grin wild. "Lunatics? We're pioneers, Techie. Newbies onto something. Banana corn dogs, fish corn dogs, sock corn dogs. It's a stick food renaissance. You're over there clutching your hot dog rule book like it's scripture, while we're out here painting the Sistine Chapel of Greece." Newbie giggled, then piped up, "Okay, but what if you double fry it, like batter a corn dog, fry it, then batter it again? Is it still a corn dog or something else?" Joker's eyes lit up, pure chaos gleaming. "Double fry? Newbie, you're a mad bastard, and I love it. That's a corn dog squared. Crunch so loud it'd wake a coma patient. We're opening a joint, kid." Joker's double dip dive. "Techie, you're on fryer duty, 'cause God knows you'd overanalyze the batter ratios anyway." Techie barked a laugh, real, unguarded, the kind he hadn't let out since the station went dark. "Fryer duty? I'd rather rewire the ironclad with my teeth than babysit your grease apocalypse, but double fry's not half bad. Reminds me of this backwater moon Kessex. Had a stall there, run by this old guy with one eye and a limp. Fried everything twice. Sausages, bread, his damn fingers if they got too close. Swore it locked in the spirit. Tasted like heaven, though. Only time I ever cried over food." He stopped, caught himself, then shrugged, voice softer. Or maybe I was just drunk. Hard to tell on Kessex. Joker pounced, pointing like he'd struck gold. "See? See? Techie's got a heart under all that circuitry, crying over a double-fried sausage. Man, that's the most human thing you've ever said. You're one of us, you corndog heretic." Techie waved him off, but the grin stayed, faint and crooked. "Yeah, well, don't get used to it. I'm still not buying your anything's a corndog bullshit. Kessex guy had standards. Hot dogs only. You'd have given him a stroke with your asteroid talk." Newbie, beaming now, jumped in. "So, Techie, you're saying it's got to have a hot dog, but double frying's okay? What if we triple fried it?" Techie groaned, but it was theatrical, his hands flailing. "Triple fried? What are you, a war criminal? You'd turn it into a brick. Good luck chewing that. Kessex guy'd haunt me for even hearing this. Look, stick to hot dogs, cornmeal, one fry, maybe two if you're feeling fancy." The laughter rolled on, their voices weaving a rare moment of lightness in the ironclad's grim routine. For a fleeting second, they weren't soldiers grappling with the galaxy's horrors. They were just three guys, ribbing each other over something as mundane as food. Their camaraderie a shield against the weight of Thacet's ghosts. Then the hollow screen flickered, and the GB news anchor's voice sliced through the noise like a plasma cutter. "Leaked audio file confirms the existence of human bombs. Destruction of Thacet Station linked to a child named Ambry. Another bomb remains at large." The words landed like a shockwave. Laughter choked off mid-breath, replaced by a stunned silence that pressed against their ears. Forks clattered onto trays. Joker's grin evaporated, his eyes narrowing as he leaned forward, staring at the screen. The anchor's polished delivery looped the damning phrases: human bombs, Thacet Station, Ambry, each one a hammer blow to the room's fragile calm. He turned his head slowly, his gaze settling on Techie, who sat rigid, his datapad now a dead weight in his hands. "Techie," Joker said, his voice a low rasp, barely audible over the broadcast's hum, but carrying a weight that made Newbie flinch. "Tell me you didn't." Techie didn't answer right away. His jaw tightened, his eyes darting to the screen before locking onto Joker's. The friendly edge of their banter was gone, replaced by a brittle tension. "I did what had to be done," he said finally, his tone firm but fraying at the edges, like he was trying to convince himself as much as Joker. The galaxy needed to know the truth. Joker's chair scraped back as he shot to his feet, the sound harsh against the deck. "The truth?" His voice climbed, disbelief twisting into something sharper. "You call this the truth? You didn't just leak some intel, Techie. You dropped a damn nuke on us. You think people are going to thank you for this? They're going to panic, hunt down every kid who looks suspicious, and the board's going to love the excuse to tighten the screws. Techie stood too, his own anger surging to meet Joker's. And what was the alternative, huh? Sit on it. Let the APCF keep wiring up kids like Ambry while the cult cheers from the shadows? You saw what happened at Thasset. Billions dead. And they were gonna bury it. I couldn't live with that, Joker. Could you? Live with it? Joker's laugh was sharp, bitter, stripped of its usual warmth. I'd rather live with a guilty conscience than a death sentence. You've lit a fuse, Techie. Riots, witch hunts, maybe even a full-on war. And you didn't even blink. You think the galaxy's ready for this? You think we are? He jabbed a finger toward the screen. That broadcast isn't justice. It's chaos with your name on it. Techie's hands clenched into fists, his face flushing as guilt and defiance warred in his expression. Chaos is better than silence. The APCF's been playing God, turning people into weapons, and the BGC's been watching it happen, probably funding it. If I didn't push this out, who would? You, Sarge, Newbie. He shook his head, his voice rising. I'm not saying it's clean, Joker, but it's right. The galaxy deserves to know what's being done in its name. Right? Joker stepped closer, his voice dropping to a growl, his eyes blazing with a mix of fury and fear. You're not a martyr, Techie. You're a fool. You didn't think this through. The BGC's got every device we carry chipped. Data pads, comms, hell, probably the damn coffee maker. They're watching us, always have been. You think they won't trace this back to you? To us. He waved a hand at the crew, his voice cracking slightly. You've painted a target on every APCF operative, every kid out there who might be next, and you've dragged us all into the crosshairs with you. Techie's defiance flickered, a shadow of fear crossing his face before he squared his shoulders. Then let them trace it. Let them come. I'd rather face the BGC than hide behind their lies. If we don't stand up, who will? The cult, the board. You know they're two sides of the same coin. Control and destruction, all wrapped up in shiny promises. Joker's hands balled into fists, his knuckles whitening. Stand up? This isn't standing up. It's suicide. You didn't just risk yourself, Techie. You risked Sarge, Newbie, me, everyone who's got your back. You think I'm scared for myself? I'm scared for you, you idiot. The BGC doesn't mess around. They'll get rid of you and we'll be left picking up the pieces. His voice softened, raw with worry. You should have talked to us. We could have found another way, something smarter, something that didn't end with us all on a leash, or worse. Techie looked away, his shoulders slumping as the weight of Joker's words sank in. I didn't want to drag you in, he muttered, his voice quieter now, threaded with regret. But after what we saw, those schematics, the recordings, I couldn't sleep knowing it was still out there. Another Ambry waiting to blow. I had to act. Joker ran a hand through his hair, exhaling a shaky breath. Act? Yeah, you acted, and now it's done. No takebacks. He glanced at Newbie, who sat wide-eyed, caught in the storm of their words. Kid, watch your step. Techie's playing with fire and we're all gonna feel the heat. He turned back to Techie, his expression a tangle of anger and sorrow. You better hope your truth was worth it, because we're all paying the price now. With that, Joker stormed out, his boots pounding the corridor like a drumbeat of dread. Techie sank back into his chair, hands trembling as he stared at the datapad, the GB News broadcast still droning in the background. Authorities are investigating the source of the leak. A relentless echo of the choice he'd made. Newbie hesitated, torn, then slipped after Joker, leaving Techie alone in the mess hall, the silence a heavy shroud around him. Far from the ironclad, the Vigilant's cockpit glowed faintly, a patchwork of blinking lights and shadows, the hum of its engines a steady pulse beneath the steel deck. Beyond the viewport, Io's volcanic surface churned, a jagged expanse of molten reds and blacks, growing larger as they closed in on Core Haven. The air inside was thick with the scent of recycled oxygen and the faint tang of metal, a bubble of life hurtling through the void. Sarge slouched in the co-pilot seat, one leg kicked up on the console, his fingers drumming a restless rhythm. His uniform was rumpled, his jaw shadowed with stubble, but his eyes were sharp, flicking between the controls and Lieutenant Thorne, who sat rigid at the helm. She piloted with precision, her hands steady, though her lips pressed into a thin line that betrayed her mood. "Core Haven's coming up fast," she said, her voice clipped but familiar, dropping the formalities they shed when alone. "You ever think about how old that place is, Harlan? Founded before the first encounter, back when we thought we'd own the stars. Now it's just a labyrinthine mess, a megastructure sprawled over Io like some ancient beast. And we're headed straight for the spire of the 12, the board spire. You ready for that?" Harlan smirked, tilting his head toward her. "Beast, huh? Sounds cozy. I'm more worried about the suits in the board spire than the architecture, Mara. Labyrinths I can handle. Give me a minotaur over a bureaucrat any day." Mara's eyes flicked to him, irritation sparking behind them. "Yeah, well, speaking of suits, you owe me big for this one. I had to jump through every hoop, twist every arm, just to get you this meeting. You and your damn habit of skipping the chain. It's like you think protocol's optional." He chuckled, low and rough, leaning forward to rest his elbows on his knees. "Come on, Mara. You love the challenge. And I bet you looked good doing it, storming into offices, barking orders. Tell me you didn't enjoy it a little." She snorted, a reluctant smile tugging at her lips despite herself. "Enjoyment's got nothing to do with it, Harlan. You're a headache. One of these days, that reckless streak's gonna land you in a ditch I can't pull you out of." "Maybe," he said, his grin softening, his voice dipping into something warmer. "But you'll still try, right? You always do. Gotta admit, you're pretty damn good at saving my ass." Mara shot him a sidelong glance, her blush faint but undeniable. "Someone's got to. You're like a stray. Loyal as hell, but too dumb to stay out of trouble. And don't think I haven't caught you staring when you think I'm too busy to notice." Harlan's laugh was easy, unguarded, his eyes glinting with mischief. "Guilty as charged. Hard not to stare, Mara. You're the best view on this tin can. Been that way for a while, hasn't it?" Her smile lingered, softer now, though she shook her head. "You're a dickhead, you know that." "And you're stuck with me," he countered, his tone playful, but edged with truth. He straightened, his gaze turning serious. "This meeting, though, it's big. Facet's gone, the cult's moving, and the APCF's got those human bombs ticking. The board needs to hear it straight, no filters. That's why I pushed." Mara nodded, her fingers tightening on the controls. "I get it. But the spire's a snake pit, Harlan. They'll chew you up if you're not careful. Politics isn't your battlefield." He leaned closer, his voice dropping. "Maybe not, but I've got you in my corner, don't I? That's worth more than any chain of command." She met his eyes, her breath catching at the intensity there. "Always," she said, the word a quiet promise. The cockpit fell silent, the hum of the shuttle wrapping around them like a cocoon. Harlan reached out, his hand brushing her arm, tentative but deliberate. "Mara," he murmured, a question in his tone. She turned, her hand finding his, fingers intertwining. "Harlan," she replied, and it was enough. Their lips met, a spark igniting into a slow, hungry flame. His hand slid to her waist, pulling her closer, while hers cupped his face, tracing the lines of a man she'd fought beside too long to deny. The kiss was fierce yet tender, a collision of need and solace, their breaths mingling in the dim light. Outside, Io's volcanoes flared, plumes of fire piercing the dark, a wild, untamed echo of the heat between them. The shuttle's glow softened, its steady hum blending with the rhythm of their pulses, a quiet symphony in the void. Giving our lovers some privacy, the BGC planet record Dominion prowled the edge of the Thasset wreckage, its hulking silhouette dwarfing the scattered remains of the once thriving station. Far from the vigilant eyes of Corehaven, this was a desolate expanse, a sea of twisted metal and silent ruin, lit only by the cold glow of distant stars. The Dominion's mission was clear: sift through the chaos, recover what could be salvaged, and eliminate any threats to the BGC's interests. In the command center, Cluster Admiral Jaron Kane surveyed the holographic display, his stern face illuminated by the flickering map of debris. Beside him, Admiral Sarah Friedman stood with a datapad in hand, her sharp eyes scanning for anything of value amidst the destruction. "Sir, sensors are picking up something in Sector 7, a junior officer reported, his voice cutting through the hum of machinery. "It's an interplanetary skimmer, BGC insignia on the side. There's a faint life signature aboard." Kane's head tilted slightly, his interest peaked. "Out here? After that blast?" He glanced at Friedman, who raised an eyebrow. "Tractor it into the main hangar bay," he ordered. "Let's see what we found." The skimmer was hauled into the Dominion's primary hangar, its scorched and dented hull groaning as it settled onto the deck. A team of security personnel and medics approached, their movements brisk and practiced. With a hiss of hydraulics, the skimmer's hatch was forced open, revealing a lone figure slumped over the controls, his uniform tattered, half his face a horrific mess of charred flesh and melted skin. "It's Lieutenant Gouldine," a medic confirmed, scanning the man's embedded ID chip. "He's alive, barely. Severe burns, likely from the Thasset explosion." Kane, observing from the hangar's upper platform, folded his arms. "Take him to the med bay. Patch him up. Enough to talk. I want answers." The med bay was a sterile cocoon of white walls and blinking monitors. Gouldine lay on a biobed, his ruined face partially covered with regen gel as nanites worked to stabilize his injuries. Tubes snaked from his arms delivering fluids, while the ship's chief medical officer adjusted the settings on a nearby console. Admiral Kane stood at the foot of the bed, his presence imposing. Friedman lingered nearby, her arms crossed, her expression a mix of disdain and curiosity. "He's the one," she said, her voice clipped. "The fool who shot Ambry Gimbel and turned Thasset into a fireball." Kane nodded, his eyes fixed on Gouldine's still form. "And now the 12 want the rest of the Gimbels hunted down. They're in hiding, but that newscast will flush them out soon enough. Gouldine's a problem we don't need." Friedman snorted. "A problem with a price tag. Thasset was worth quintillions. Personnel, assets, contracts. The board will want blood for that loss." Hours later, Gouldine stirred, his single functioning eye blinking against the harsh light of the medbay. Pain throbbed through his body, dulled but persistent. He focused on the two figures standing over him, Kane and Friedman, their BGC uniforms pristine, their faces unyielding. "Lieutenant Gouldine," Kane began, his tone cold and deliberate, "you've got some explaining to do. You murdered Ambry Gimbel, and that set off the chain reaction that obliterated Thasset. We've got questions, and you're going to answer them." Gouldine's throat worked, his voice a ragged whisper. I had orders. She was obstinate to lawful commands. I had no clue. Enough, Friedman interrupted, her patience razor thin. "We've seen the newscast. The galaxy knows about the human bombs now, and you're the trigger man." She activated a hollow screen, and the GB News broadcast flared to life, its anchor recounting the destruction of Thasset and the revelation of the APCF's deadly implants. Gouldine stared, his stomach twisting as the footage played. Ambry's death, the station's collapse, the chaos he'd unleashed. When it finished, Kane leaned closer. "How did you survive? Thasset was a total loss. Nothing should have made it out." Gouldine licked his cracked lips, forcing the words out. "I wasn't on the station when it blew. I was back on my company's frigate, the Vanguard. After Ambry, I reported in. The blast hit us hard, ripped the ship in two. I was in the aft section, near the skimmers. Sealed myself off, launched one, and diverted all reserve power to life support. Drifted until you found me." Friedman's lip curled. "Your crew?" "Dead," Gouldine said, his voice hollow. "No one else made it." Kane straightened, exchanging a look with Friedman. "You're a liability, Lieutenant," he said. "The 12 have tasked us with tracking down the Gimbel family. They're on the run, but exposed now. You, though, you cost the BGC a fortune and a strategic asset. That's not something the board forgives." Gouldine's eye widened, fear creeping in. "What happens to me?" "You're under arrest," Kane replied, his tone final. "We'll squeeze every detail out of you, then lock you away. The BGC doesn't coddle failures, especially not ones who blow up their own ships." The Dominion's detention block was a cold, unforgiving place, its corridors lined with reinforced cells designed to break the spirit as much as the body. Gouldine was marched from the med bay, his legs shaky, flanked by 2 guards in featureless armor. They stopped at a small metal cube, its door sliding open to reveal a barren interior. A single bench, stark walls, and a faint blue glow from an overhead emitter. "Inside!" one guard barked, shoving Gouldine forward. He stumbled in, and immediately energy cuffs snapped into place around his wrists and ankles, their fields buzzing with restrained power. A neural inhibitor collar locked around his neck, its sensors glowing as it linked to his nervous system, capable of delivering crippling pain or paralysis at the slightest provocation. "Try anything, and you'll regret it," the guard said, his voice muffled by his helmet. The cells monitored. "Enjoy your stay." The door slammed shut, the sound echoing like a death knell. Gouldine collapsed onto the bench, the cuffs hum a constant reminder of his captivity. The BGC didn't just punish failure, they erased it. Thasset's destruction had cost them too much: credits, lives, reputation. And Gouldine was the scapegoat. As the collar's weight pressed against his throat, he knew there'd be no mercy, only the cold grind of a mega-course justice.